Hey, good morning. How y'all doing? It is Well Red Beard. It is a damn fine day to talk about a book. It's a Christmas gift that got here late, but we are here for a short review today, and we're going to talk about four killers. This is Ray Garton, Brian Keene, Joe R. Lansdale, and Peter Straub. It is a very cool book by Cemetery Dance, very limited book. Again, I've had it on my shelf for a while and never got around to reading it and picked it up over the holiday and read it. It's quad signed by all four authors, and this is number 508 out of 532. So I really dig the book. I like Cemetery Dance's. I like their products, but the stories in this for me were lacking. If I'm grading this based off of content, 2 stars, but it's still like a book I'm really happy to have in my library, in my collection. So that's kind of a weird thing. Like, there's not a lot of books that fit that. Like, I'm glad to have, but didn't really enjoy reading. So, yeah, that might be a first. But so, 4 stories, one by each, all, you know, killer stories, so to speak. Peter Straub's is the first one. It is the longest one by far. Like 80 some odd pages of this book is Peter Straub's story, and it is called Bunny is Good Bread. Now, sorry, I'm not a Peter Straub fanatic. I have not read a lot of his stuff. I've read Ghost Story. I've read the stuff that he co-wrote with King. And to be honest with you, other than maybe a short story here and there that I caught in an anthology, that might be it. So the main character, or the child character in this book, it's my understanding, doing a little bit of research on the story, is the killer from the book The Throat. So if you're a Straub fan and you've read The Throat, then this is probably a story you would want to check out, because it's, again, my loose understanding that it's like an origin story for that character. But so it's a story about an abusive father, child abuse, and the mother is bedridden in the house from injuries that came from this abusive father, but he won't take her to the hospital. He's going to take care of the situation there, and she just keeps getting worse, and the kid knows she's getting worse, and meanwhile, dad's abusive to the kid as well. So again, I don't know that I really knew this from reading the story, but I guess we're looking at the birth of a future killer, the birth of this killer from the book The Throat. So, I found it kind of hard to follow at points, and I don't often get that with just standard horror fiction. I'm reading Infinite Jest right now, and that's the definition of the fucking hard to follow. But anyway, so I didn't really love the story, but that's what it was. So the next story in the book is by Joe Lansdale. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with. As a horror reader, it's horrible to say this, but I don't have a ton of experience with really any of these authors. So Joe Lansdale, I haven't read a ton of his work. I have caught some of it. Can't really tell you which ones, but his. Well, one other thing I want to mention is there is pretty cool art. Like, each story has a one-page art piece that comes near the end of the story. But so this is Joe Lansdale. It's I Tell You It's Love. And in this one, it is a couple that are digging into S&M. And I'm hesitating here because the Joe Lansdale story and the Ray Garton story, which is the last one, they kind of run together for me a little bit. There are some similarities there between the stories, and I'm trying not to misspeak here. But let me see here. So it's S&M stuff, and okay, so it's not enough. And again, similarities between these stories, and you'll see that when I get to the Garten story, it's not enough, and so they start to take people from, one of them's even like a crippled kid, and they talk about what they've done to him, but they get off on torture basically, and there is the graphic from that one. Wow. Okay, so the next story is Musings by Brian Keene. I've read a couple of Brian Keene's books, most notably Ghoul, which I really liked. But this one is told like it's not fiction, like it's a real story, a real something that really happened to him, and it says it right here in the first paragraph. This happened to me last night, and I need to talk about it to someone. And since Cemetery Dance is after me to get a story turned in on time, that someone is you. Call it metafiction if you like, except that there's not much fiction to it. So in this one, he is, he's a famous horror author. I mean, again, not Stephen King level, but I don't know. I don't know how much fame these authors actually reach. Like, I can't really comprehend like where that's at. It's one of those weird things. Like when I was younger and I picked up a book. If I saw a book on a shelf, I was like, "Well, this guy is, famous. He wrote a book." But I have since learned that that's not always the case. But anyway, so I don't know. So in this story, Brian Keene has reached a level of fame, and he's at home writing, and he gets done with his writing session, goes for a walk down by the river, and there's three attractive college age girls there, and they're there for him, like they know him, like they're fans of his, and they go back to his place with him, and they're kind of talking about you know famous authors on his shelf like Poe and this and that, and and almost like they know him, right? And when you come to find out that these are not just normal college girl fans, they are the three muses, and it's a cool graphic. And according to them, Keene's writing has dropped off to shit in the later years, and all of his good stuff, his early stuff, was brought on by loss and grief and failed marriage and this and that, and he needs to feel pain in order to write well again, and they are more than happy to strap him to a bed and provide that pain. So, yeah, so that's that story. All right, so the last one in the book is by Ray Garton, and it is called Johnny and Judy Forever. And like I said, there's a lot of similarities between this one and the Lansdale story. But Johnny and Judy Forever. And in this one, we have a couple, and they're killers. I mean, they are kidnap people and kill them horribly. And Judy notices that Johnny really doesn't have any interest, so to speak, in her. Um, he only gets excited when in the process of killing someone, and she's kind of gets a bit jealous of that, kind of wants to be able to maintain his attention without, but whatever. They're going through this process again, like I said, this natural born killers thing of kidnapping victims and taking them back and doing horrific things to them. And so it's definitely a relationship with some problems, but we find out that Judy is pregnant, and of course, a baby, having a baby in a troubled relationship always helps to solve the problems and cure the relationship, right? So again, two horrible killers creating what is probably going to be the next generation of killers. So that's it. I mean, this is four killers again. Cool book, but I didn't really like. I don't think I would have given any of those stories more than 3 stars. So if we're talking content, it's a 2-star book. If we're talking, you know, the product, the fact that I have a book here signed by these four horror, staples. That's pretty cool. So this has been Well Red Beard. This is my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books. And again, I hate really reviewing a book that's got 500 some odd copies in existence because I mean I like to review things that if you're interested you can just go out and grab it, and this one I don't know how hard it is to find like on eBay or whatnot, but that's probably where I got it. Anyway, so Four Killers, Ray Garton, Brian Keene, Joe Lansdale, and Peter Straub. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you're enjoying all your books, all of them, as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.